There has been a trade war that began in January and has continued all the way up until the present day, which has made it difficult to participate in the cryptocurrency market throughout the course of the last approximately 5 months. Subsequently, the crisis between Israel and Iran sprang out of nowhere. In addition to the fact that all of this is something that is beyond our ability to control, it is also something that exerts a significant amount of pressure on the market, both in a bad and even a good way. Take, for instance, the trade war. What we observed with the trade war was that we were witnessing pauses for periods of 90 days here and there, and then all of a sudden the market would be free to breathe again. On the other hand, something else would take place all of a sudden. We were given a significant update on China and the United States, and then alas, the markets went down once again. As of right now, we are in the process of determining whether or not the United States of America will become engaged in the confrontation between Israel and Iran. Moreover, once we hear anything like this from Trump, the market, as you are aware, immediately begins to act in whatever manner it chooses to carry out. The markets are able to take a deep breath and relax a little bit more if the post is about something nice. On the other hand, if it is a downbeat post, we will continue to decline. Since around May, when we did reach an all-time high, we have not seen any great price activity, especially on Bitcoin. This is the dilemma that we are currently facing. The problem is that we have not really seen any positive price action. I have a few topics that I would want to discuss in this video right now. In the first place, I would want to discuss the worst possible outcome, but after that I would also like to briefly discuss the positive aspects of the existing situation. Taking a closer look at the cryptocurrency market at the moment, it is clear that things have plummeted to a big degree today. This is the monthly view, by the way, in case you were wondering. As it truly appears, this is what the everyday looks like. According to what I mentioned before, there are a few items that are drastically down. On the other hand, if we take a closer look at the weekly and monthly data, we will be able to observe the agony that has been affecting this market. An illustration of this would be the fact that on the monthly, we may observe that there are over 20 to 30% declines across the board for all coins, with some of them even reaching 40% or more. Once more, as I mentioned before, this is not something that is enjoyable to go through, and it is not something that is, a pleasant thing. One thing that I will say is that despite the fact that price action and sentiment have been pretty negative, we need to make sure that we are keeping an eye on things that are happening behind the scenes for cryptocurrency. This is something that is really going to allow us to not only have higher price action, but also for the entire cryptocurrency market to be fully embraced globally, which is something that I will discuss in a moment. The current price action for Bitcoin is $103,000, Ethereum is around $2,400, and XRP is of course approximately $2.12. Comparatively, Ethereum and Bitcoin have had a decline of around 6.1 and 6.2% on a monthly basis, while XRP has experienced a decline of 11.4%. On an annual basis, however, and I want to emphasize this point quite a bit when it comes to XRP and a lot of old coins, XRP is still up 334%, Ethereum is down 31.2%, and Bitcoin is only up roughly 59.2%. When compared to the top 100 crypto assets, XRP is the fourth highest gainer over the course of the past year. This means that if you look at this from a more comprehensive perspective, there are without a doubt other cryptocurrencies that are performing better than XRP, but they are also relatively new debuts. Additional cryptocurrencies including as XDC, HBR and XLM are also experiencing significant price increases. In the past year, the majority of the projects that are dependent on utilities have seen considerable growth. I think it's fair to say that they are simply following the current trend of the market at the moment. In addition, I am aware that it is upsetting to observe all the wonderful news that is being released regarding cryptocurrency, but there is no favorable price action. It is important for you to understand that it does not make a difference what sort of wonderful news we receive if there is a war going on or a trade war going on. The market is subjected to a significant degree of negative pressure as a result of these factors, which does have an effect on the market. And we are still connected to Bitcoin in some way. Is it because of this, or is it because, no, it is because Bitcoin is down? If you are sitting here and wondering why XRP is down today, the answer is that it is because of Bitcoin. Alright, this is the most straightforward way to look at things. Even if Bitcoin has a market share of more than 64%, older currencies are not likely to be able to take advantage of this opportunity to breathe in a significant way. But instead, let's concentrate on some of the good developments that are taking place in the cryptocurrency world. Isn't the brilliant stablecoin bill the first thing on your list? Senators have just approved it. This is going to be a really significant one, isn't it? With regard to this measure, there are still a few things that we need to work through in order to actually have it properly passed, as you may say. However, we will proceed to this location. We have learned from Eleanor Tourette that she has been having conversations with a few individuals. Do you agree that Trump has recently received a large number of calls from industry stakeholders to the Hill? This was also a reference to the legislation that governs the structure of the market. Consequently, in addition to the law concerning stablecoins, we are now hearing discussions on the legislation concerning market structure. It is possible that all of this will be completed by the month of August, which is Trump's own timeline. From what we have gathered, President Trump has expressed his desire to avoid any delays, add-ons, or other such actions. He is eager for the Genius Act to arrive at his desk as quickly as possible, so that he may put his signature on it and make it a law. Furthermore, if that is the case, take note, before the end of August we will get both of them signed into law. This is likely to have a significant impact on cryptocurrency. When it comes to all of this negative pricing activity, this is something that is still going on behind the scenes currently. In addition to that, exchange-traded funds ETFs for ancient coins are still trading at 90% or higher. We still have a significant number of old coin exchange-traded funds ETFs that have the potential to be passed through this year. This is due to the fact that there is a greater than 90% likelihood that a number of these ancient coins will be included in an ETF this year. In addition, this information is being provided by Analyst, ETF experts who have been really sort of spot on with even the Bitcoin ETF and the Ethereum ETF, and they work at Bloomberg on this kind of things, and they have been incredibly accurate. In addition to this, there are also senior ETF analysts that work in the field. Additionally, there is the meeting of the Federal Open Market Committee. Therefore, it is clear that the Federal Reserve did not reduce interest rates, right? That is the news that we received. In other words, June was really simply a break. The likelihood of a reduction in interest rates in July is 16.5%. There is a greater than 70% chance that we will receive a reduction in our rates in September. Keeping an eye out for this is something to do. We are willing to go through the summers without any pricing action, just like we did the previous summer, if that is what it takes. From my own perspective, I believe that we will witness price movement that is higher before September. Given everything that has been going on in the cryptocurrency world, including the exchange-traded funds, ETFs, the stablecoin law, the market structure legislation, and the possibility of a rate drop by the Federal Reserve in July, it is clear that I might be wrong, and I will confess that if I am wrong. However, if we do receive it in July, it will be a significant event. On the other hand, even in September, everything is good. No, I have no problem with it at all. At the moment, there is a great deal going on in the cryptocurrency industry, including adoption, institutional players, and the type of delving on into stablecoin projects and crypto initiatives. All of these things are happening simultaneously. All of this is taking place despite the fact that the price activity over the past 5 months has clearly not been particularly interesting. And I even mentioned this over on X, that it has been 5 months since we have truly seen any substantial price activity across the board for cryptocurrency. I remarked that it has been that long. The volume of the noise is increasing. Retail is beginning to fall apart before our very eyes. If you know what I mean, I read hundreds of comments every single day, and the vast majority of them are exhausted, frustrated, and given up. As of right now, the general assumption is that there will be no alternative season, and that this market has reached its peak. Furthermore, we are already approaching the bear market. However, I do not consider this to be a certainty, but rather an opportunity. Those that are prepared to take on the risk will gain from any of the two situations that we are currently seeing, and both of them are currently occurring. We are getting closer to the old season than we have ever been before, and there is a possibility that it will begin in July. There have been several times on which I have discussed the reasons why I do feel that it is possible for it to take place between the end of this month and the beginning of July. Scenario number 2. If we continue to follow the calendar for the years 2020 and 2021, we will witness the beginning of the alternative season sometime between the end of this year and the beginning of 2026.